That was an Audi R8, one of many desirable cars lapping the planet right now. A large part of what makes those cars so good is their engines, but things are changing. After over 100 years of developing the petrol engine to almost its full capability, political and environmental pressures means that manufacturers now have to find new ways to power their cars. It seems that electric and hybrid power is the way of the future, and we're at Audi's Sport Park in Ingolstadt to drive some pretty special concepts. Audi invited us to a bit of a fortune-telling session, where they outlined their plans for the future of the automobile, and not just hatchbacks and city runabouts either. Our first taste of what the company calls their electromobility program was this, the R8 e-tron. Powered by 4 electric motors, one at each wheel, this all-electric sports car has a rather modest kilowatt count of 230, but a massive 4,500 Newton meters. This e-tron looks as good as the petrol-powered R8, and the two versions share some other characteristics as well, like the weight distribution and the rear bias torque split. But there is one very distinct difference. Listen to this. Traveling at some serious speeds behind the wheel of an R8 with that noise was a very eerie experience, like you were the driver of your very own bullet train. That other thing that Audi are famous for, Quattro, is also present in the e-tron, but in a slightly different form. Instead of using differentials and other clever torque-sensing mechanical bits, Audi use a thing called torque vectoring. The power or braking of each wheel is adjusted minutely and instantaneously to make sure that the car has optimum grip. The result, according to a very modest Audi, is that the R8 e-tron feels like it corners on rails. We only had a short sprint in the R8 e-tron, but it was enough to give you just a tiny taste of what motoring in the future might be like. It gets up to some serious speed, 0 to 100 in 4.8 seconds, but without a screaming exhaust and some gear changes thrown in, it just doesn't feel the same. The R8 e-tron packs a lithium-ion battery powering 4 electric motors, and this model will be released in Europe as a limited edition in late 2012. In a rather unexpected take on planet-friendly mobility, Audi have decided to build wooden bicycles for the world's population. Power output of the model varies depending on the rider, and there are various spec levels, which will change according to what you're wearing or whether you ride it while carrying your iPod. Much more to our liking, and yours as well I'm sure, is an electric version of the newly released A1, a car we featured on the show at the end of last year. I learned some interesting things while driving this concept car, not so much about the car itself, but more about the cars we drive now. The A1 e-tron is also a slightly different concept. It's a full electric vehicle, but it uses one electric motor to drive all 4 wheels. It is fitted with a very small 250cc rotary engine, but that's used as a range extender only to charge the battery when necessary. It never actually drives the wheels. While a lot of the ideas behind this concept are futuristic, the actual driving is pretty normal, besides the lack of engine noise, I mean. Output is 75 kilowatts and 240 Newton meters, and its 0 to 100 time is 10.2 seconds. But this car is about more than just its power supply though. Audi envisions a day where integrated systems on the roads will help cars of the future achieve the most efficient driving possible. So, for example, sensors in traffic lights will talk to receivers in the car, and the car will adjust its speed so it doesn't have to stop at the light. Just why there's such a scramble to develop this type of car became pretty obvious while we were doing laps around Audi Sport Park. An Audi staffer told me a very interesting stat about the efficiency of the petrol engine. If you see a full tank as 100% energy, by the time the petrol has gone through all the processes necessary to actually turn the wheels, you're left with about 21%. You lose almost 80% of the energy just by burning fuel and going through the other mechanical processes involved in the internal combustion engine. With electric motors, you lose around 25%. The A1 e-tron is powered by a 75 kilowatt electric motor driving all 4 wheels, while a 15 kilowatt rotary engine serves as a generator to charge the battery when necessary.